I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Who are you?
Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another review. This is another request for Alban. Thank you so much for that. If anyone wants to request pretty much anything, you do it so by sending it directly to my PayPal or join me on my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. If not, no worries, but so thank you. Now, the request for today is for the first Saw film. Now, the first Saw film, I will say I'm not a big fan of the franchise, but I do give credit to the first Saw film. I can watch it, I can enjoy it, and I can be impressed by it. James Wan directed the film, and it's one of those movies where I thought that, considering the fact that they only had 18 days to film it, they only had a $1.2 million budget to work with, it's put together very well because, and despite those limitations. I mean, you think about it with movies of today, $1.2 million is not a whole lot to work with. And both James Wan and the writer Leigh Whannell, like I said, I thought they did a pretty damn good job with this, because the idea is interesting. I just think it got more and more preposterous and more ridiculous and more, come on now, like this Jigsaw has to be some kind of psychic ability to make 100% damn sure that this person would do this and do this and do this. So and if that didn't happen, then this won't happen. If that didn't happen, it could also easily come crumbling down. Which is how intricate these movies got, more and more so, to the point that you could tell people were making shit up as they were going along, which is what happened. But this first movie, this character who was going through cancer, and he's like, you know what, I want to play a game with these people. People who can choose your life and death, and for the most part won't care about your detrimental needs or wants, or will care about being your savior. They only care about themselves. But on the flip side, even that point, not as much, because Jigsaw will go after some people that you need to respect life more. Most people are so ungrateful to be alive. And that's kind of supposed to be his teaching on this, which a lot of times I call bullshit on that, but at the same time, he's a crazy motherfucker who's a villain, so I guess it makes sense that he would be a lot of times full of shit. This is the name of Jigsaw. I think he's full of shit a lot of the times. Because he wants to talk about, I want to play a game, like a fair game, but the very beginning, it's a bit of a fucking cheat, because as soon as a person wakes up and you've tied their toe to the goddamn drain, You put them in water, they immediately wake up, yank the thing, and the tea that gets them out falls into the drain. What fair shot did they have? What fair moment did they have? Oh, I'm sorry that they wake up after being kidnapped and then some water. They're like, what the fuck? So yeah, I thought, wow, that's a bit of a fucking cheat, Jigsaw, you cheating bastard. Not much of a fighting chance. Which I thought was the point, one of the points of Jigsaw. But I think the guy's full of shit. But I do like the voice. Tobin Bell created a great voice for that. The way the film is shot, the way the film looks, again, for a movie with just over $1 million budget, and the way it's edited would be a bother to some people, but I thought in this instance it worked with the fact that you're in the mind of this killer with all these games obviously playing off in his head as well as the reality. The little bit of schizophrenic editing I thought in this particular film was appropriate. And it also seemed as if, hey, we only have 18 days to shoot this. We want to make this look a bit more unique compared to other films in the market, so let's do something with the editing. For example, there's a piece of camera work where there's a body reveal, and the crane goes to the body, then a 360 float in the air reveal of this whole body. You just say it was the director trying to be fancy, but at the same time it's also maybe not wanting to make the audience bored with just static shots, which I can understand that. Now the idea of the film is that the writer in this movie, Leigh Whannell, is also an actor. And he plays one of two people that are chained up in this bathroom. The other guy is Cary Elwes, which even back in the day I'm like, cool, it's the guy from The Princess Bride. He was also in Twister and many others. So it's cool to see him in this kind of film. The legs are chained up. And then pretty much they hear this voice about, I want to play a game. And then like each one of these things, they have to do certain things. They have to find certain clues, ultimately leading up to, if you don't kill him, your family will die. Or you could saw your own leg off and maybe make it. Probably not, but you could make it with the saw. You know, what are you going to do? Meanwhile, you have this other work with cops. You have Danny Glover, who plays a cop, Detective Tapp. And I know you have some other people too who are also police officers. Because the cast's not too bad. I mean, I mentioned Danny Glover. His partner is played by Ken Leung. He's a guy who... He played the bad guy Sane in Rush Hour. He's a guy who kind of had a beef with Chris Tucker's character. Wipe yourself, you're bleeding. You know, that guy. That's Ken Leung. He's in this as Danny Glover's partner. Dina Meyer, who's in Starship Troopers, and she was a bunch of other stuff. She also plays a detective in this. She was also in Bats. She was in ICU, also known as Detox. Shawnee Smith plays a potential victim, Amanda, who was in this head trap, and she was able to get itself out before her jaw got ripped off. But then she's like, oh, she was a former drug addict, but then after she's like, oh, he helped me. He helped me realize how great life is. I'm like, you know what? He could have just sent you to maybe a methadone clinic or something. Probably would have gotten the same fucking thing. Maybe could have sent you to detox. That probably would have helped you out too. And James Wan, this is one of the first things he did. And of course he went on to a big career. I mean, after this, James Wan did Dead Silence, Death Sentence, Insidious, The Conjuring, Insidious 2, Conjuring 2, Aquaman, Furious 7. Dead Silence I didn't mind. Death Sentence I do like. Insidious I haven't seen in forever. The Conjuring I thought was pretty good. Conjuring 2 I didn't think was too bad. Did not see the Insidious sequels. Furious 7 wasn't big on that. I don't like Aquaman. But you know, I've liked quite a few of his films. And actually, before this, there was a short film of Saw. Because what they had done was, they had created this little short movie to say, hey, we can do this. This is what we're looking at. Can we get some investors? They said, okay, we'll give you some money, but just $1 million. You only have 18 days to do it. And yeah, I think for what they had, they accomplished quite a bit. You know, I like the look, the aesthetics of the film. I thought the cinematography actually worked for this kind of dark Seven type of, you know, serial killer flick, but also a little bit more. It's weird to say Seven is a bit more grounded compared to this, but this is a bit more, I don't know if I want to say escapism, but a bit more outlandish in its traps. At Danny Glover's part, they find these dead bodies, like one person who was trying to go through this razor wire trap. Or like I said, they interview Shawnee Smith, who had this head trap, and she had to dig through another guy's stomach to get the key. You do get some graphic moments. Even if you don't see anything, I thought the director did a nice job of at least eliciting a reaction out of me. Like when Danny Glover's partner gets killed. And yeah, this is spoilers, but this is the first Saw film. I would imagine most people have already seen the first Saw film. But when his partner runs and gets a shotgun blast to the head, I don't know, the fact that we only see from here downward and we see like the splash of blood and a quivering of body and more blood, for some reason it made it seem creepier. Maybe because when you see it, yeah, it'd be a cool effect or a bad CGI effect, whichever. But in your mind, you still know it's an effect. But when it's down below, in a way, it feels more real and visceral. I know this sounds stupid, but that made it seem a little bit creepier. Now, like I said, with a lot of Saw films, more so in the sequels, there's always that part of you that goes, well, how much can you really believe and buy into this, as in, how did he know this would happen? How did he assume this would happen? Oh, I'm so glad he's fucking lucky this happened, because a bunch of other things could have happened. A lot of things could have gone wrong. But it seems like with Jigsaw, almost everything comes out fucking perfectly. At least for the most part. Again, makes me go, is he fucking psychic? Does he have the power of the dead zone? But just, and also it goes a little bit more into the torture porn thing, where back in the day it was a person got killed, but it was fairly quickly, like, oh shit, then you moved on. Here it's the slow excursion to, oh my god, it's going to kill me, it's going to kill me, am I going to get killed? Oh my god, it's torturing me, alright, let me get it off. But I did more so in the sequels. I do think this one, it does, compared to the sequels, it does benefit from, the cast in the sequels are alright, but this one definitely has more of the top-notch cast, which is funny because this is the cheapest film. But you got Cary Elwes, and you got, like I said, the Danny Glover and Dina Meyer. And granted, later ones you had like Donnie Wahlberg and some others, but still, it's funny that Cary Elwes and Danny Glover went on for this $1 million flick. Interesting that they took a chance on this. And to be honest, part of me sucks that Danny Glover's character died. It's because his character became more and more obsessed. Because at one point he got his neck sliced, but he didn't die. His partner got killed. So he was even more obsessed, and he thought it was Cary Elwes who was Jigsaw. but because of his obsession, because he was not listening to the right people, because he almost didn't even care about other people's lives, he just cared about his revenge, sadly led to his death. Which even then was lame, because he's battling a guy that seems like a pretty big weakling. And it looked like Danny Glover could overpower him any minute, but instead of pushing the gun away or disarming him, just slowly go towards him, and he gets shot, dies of his wounds. Cary Elwes cuts his leg off, and I'm like, okay, he's going to bleed to death. Because in about a minute, he goes as pale as Bela fucking Lugosi. Like, I'm going to be right back. I'm going to get help. I'm going to get help. I'm thinking, when you get to the later film, Saw 7, which not only does he survive, but he starts to work with Jigsaw, which is the dumbest fucking shit, and that's why I'm like, stuff like that, I'm like, fuck this franchise. This is so fucking stupid. This whole, well, he made me feel better because he made me appreciate life. I mean, the motherfucker still almost got your fucking jaw off, or on this point, he still had your family hostage. Your family could have easily been killed. And this is not to this film, but to Saw 7. I don't give a fuck if Jigsaw made, even though somehow you didn't die from blood leakage, fixed you, stopped the bleeding. He still was ready to murder your family. He still made you cut your own fucking leg off. Why would you fucking help him? And when you got to Saw 7, I went, oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me. I don't see this character doing that. And Cary Elwes, I liked him as an actor. I thought he did a good job. I sensed more and more of his desperation as time went on. A guy who you thought was Jigsaw comes to the room, and just how he's getting pissed and ready to, you motherfucker, yeah, I'll kill you, I'll fucking kill you. I thought he did a pretty damn good job. Leigh Whannell, I don't think he was that bad of an actor. For a writer, becoming an actor, one of his first big roles as an actor, Leigh Whannell wasn't too bad of an actor. And honestly, again, with the whole bullshit of Jigsaw punishing people, I don't think Leigh Whannell's character really deserved as dire of a fate as he got. Because, of course, you have that ending, which I will admit is a memorable ending. And the twist was interesting. The fact that Jigsaw was on that floor the whole time, I didn't see it coming when I saw it. And it didn't give me as much of a groan-worthy reaction compared to other fucking endings. Like Saw 7 especially, but a lot of the other sequels, I like going, oh wait, that's a fucking prequel, or oh wait, that's another fucking prequel, or it's the same fucking timeline. Like when you get into Saw 2, like 3, 4, and 5, like they're all really at the same fucking time, and that's the a lot of things that don't add up. But yeah, I will say the ending to this one definitely, I thought, hit home the hardest. The music, I do gotta mention the music. Charlie Clouser is a fantastic piece of music. I think it's the best score of all the Saw films. There's a lot of wonderful, memorable pieces. I thought it builds up that intensity, and when you hear that, you just know in your soul that in your world of hurt, and you're in a world of shit, and things are not going to end the best. So I do think Charlie Clouser created a really memorable score. At least for the first Saw film. But yeah, Leigh Whannell's character, it didn't seem like he deserved that bad of a fate all the other characters on the other stuff. And he didn't really give much fairness to play. A fucking T that was on his toe as soon as he woke up. What's fair about that? Also, he had a gun. I didn't really understand why, if he had a gun, why didn't he shoot the chains off? Like, he had a gun, he couldn't shoot it because he got electrocuted. But then Jigsaw leaves. Why didn't he get the gun and shoot the chain off? Because in one of the other films, you find out there's his dead body, so that character did die. But again, like, why don't you just shoot the chain off? I get that it could be tough and it won't go just like that, but at least shoot it, and then you could use the butt of the gun to break the rest of it off. Or even using the gun as a bat. It's still a piece of fucking metal. What the fuck else you don't do? It's not like you got anything else to worry about. But I mean, it's definitely not a movie that is part of a franchise. It's part of a franchise that doesn't really have a lot of happy endings. And we got to a certain point and just how it became, for me, just repetitive and just the same old, and the traps were just less and less interesting, and you're always waiting for a twist, and they always try to do a twist at the end, so that it wasn't really a surprise anymore, because you knew they were going to do some kind of twist, and usually it's in a similar fashion, and never in a, oh, things are ending okay type of way. Thus became somewhat predictable in that fashion. So it's not really a franchise I go back and rewatch anytime soon. But at least the first one, I thought it was an interesting concept, setup of an idea. Honestly, I think this was a one-off movie. I don't think it needed the sequels, let alone this many fucking sequels. I think it's an interesting concept that just got watered down as time went on, where it got more repetitive, more ridiculous, more exaggerated, more like, come on, I gotta call bullshit on that, I gotta call bullshit on this. And it was interesting seeing Danny Glover play a darker type of character, a little bit more obsessed type of character. Did Cary Elwes. It was fun to see him in this. Shawnee Smith, nice to see her again after the Blob remake, which I love. And then they try to do all this stuff with her character, which I'm like, come on. That's what I'm talking about. I don't buy all this shit. I enjoyed the look, the dark cinematography of the film. The Seven type of feel tone it was trying to make. Its editing and camera work that was trying to, I just make a low budget film feel like a bigger budget, feel more like a theatrical, feel the opposite of cheap. I thought for the most part that was accomplished. And like I said, I think for something that 1.2 million, 18 days, I think they accomplished quite a bit. So with the first Saw, I don't have a lot of problems with it. Just the sequels afterward, it just, okay. And sometimes I just see a similar repetitive style. Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. Sometimes just gets old real quick, like the Saw films. I like the whole idea of the traps. But even then, the whole traps scheme got a bit more, oh, that's what you're doing? What's next? You don't have a foot massager that will then flip over each of your toenails if you sing the letters of the alphabet wrong? It's just how far you don't go with this. That's why that Chris Rock film Spiral, I would be more interested in that if it wasn't a Saw film. Just with a Saw film, you can almost see the twist coming as to what the hell's going to happen with that. And that takes away the suspense and surprise of the movie, at least in my opinion. But with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.